So why not then reassemble smaller companies that have normally gone into alliance with big companies? Big companies in general have almost let go of their R&D departments in many ways. Some of them, not all of
Oh, because they're
them.
absorbing smaller companies that are
Uh,
focused and successful.
Precisely. And so it devolved, the R&D devolves to these small startup companies, and then they reabsorb them. Um, well, why not do that in reverse? Why not assemble, reabsorb small companies ourselves and create a big pharma company? And so the idea is that I've assembled some really leading opinions and auspicious people around the table that will be board members and advisory board members, and we will go after placing substantial capital, to try and buy substantial pieces, if not controlling pieces, in extant and developing binary type immunology companies. Some in the infectious area, infectious disease, others in cancer, others in autoimmune disease and inflammatory diseases, others in aging and repair and regeneration, others in neuroinflammation and neurodegeneration, others in vaccinology, and some in veterinary even, and some in diagnostics. So you have a consortium of companies that are bound together by the common, investor and controller, which I have called the central company. I've called Immunition, and Immunition is going to be a powerhouse in the immunology space by doing this, by
Uh-huh.
assembling. And there could be a lot of coordination and skill set sharing and synergies between these companies as they come together in consortia because they're not competing. They're different
Yeah, that's
market
kind of
areas.
kind of the opposite of absorbing is, expanding their influence into many fingers of many companies, perhaps, right, or entities
Yeah,
even.
there may be one of the companies may have an immunologist who's devoting himself to infectious disease, but he has a damn good idea about cancer, and vice versa. Or that there are managerial skill sets that a lot of young companies are lacking some real profound managerial skill sets because there's just too many of them and not enough skill sets to share around. So you have a better chance of that kind of synergy as well. So yeah, and each of them would not be wholly owned. We would go in and maybe buy 51% or 60% or whatever, and but they would have their own shareholders still, and they could go public themselves. Um, we could do our deals. We will go public. The fund would be public, Immunition. So Immunition stock would be a form of currency. So when we do a new deal, we'd say 60 million for 51% of your company, but of that 60 million, 10 million would be our stock. Now you could keep that on your treasury, and at times, sell a bit, if you wanted some extra working capital. Or, but in any event, holding our stock would mean that there is even a more desire for each of the target companies to cooperate with each other to make the central company look good, so that their treasuries would be aggrandized by the stock going up of Immunition.
A universal reward coin.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I'm intent on that. I've allied, at least I'm beginning to ally with a substantial family in the United States that has created unicorns in the biopharma space, and they're going to cooperate with me and putting this and join as co-founders in putting Immunition Biosciences to work and to become real. Right now, it's just a evolving dream, and it's been hard work, bringing people to the table that see the vision and have the patience and the resources, in fact, to sustain a startup money gathering episode. So in the first phase, we will be going out to institutions, high net worths, and family offices to assemble our initial capital. When we take it public after that, then we could go after serial tranches in serial public offerings. Yep.
Okay, that's exciting. So this is essentially, is this the same approach you use when you're ever anytime you're trying to raise venture capital, or is this kind
No,
of a new approach for you?
it's a new approach. It's not exactly a new approach altogether. I mean, I remember back in 2014, I was in San Francisco at the well-known J.P. Morgan healthcare conferences and satellites thereof. There are plenty of conferences in early mid-January, uh, where about 40,000 biologists and executives and everybody else descend on San Francisco and pay enormous, exorbitant prices for hotel rooms to attend one of about 6 or 7 conferences happening synchronously. And I met this young American Indian chap, not American Indian, but Indian extraction, now living in America. And he wanted me to help him start this enterprise, which he wanted to go in and get drugs that were not being developed by the pharma companies because they were middling drugs, not big drugs, or they put them on the shelf for some reason, but would be plenty good for a small company, right? Build those drugs up and license them out of the companies, but also go to academia and start companies ab initio from academic sources. And I looked at him, and he was a very engaging guy, very, very charming and very persuasive. And I said, well, I'd really like to follow this, but I'm doing pretty much the same thing myself as a maverick. And he wanted to put together a big fund to do all of this. And so the next year, I had a annus horribilis, as the Queen would say. Then 2015 was a lousy year because I got fairly ill with an immunological disorder. And thank goodness it's under control now. But I was really ill for 10 weeks. I was in hospital. And I lost track of him. And then things, I forgot about it. And 3 years later, he was a billionaire and I wasn't. Um, and that was Vivek Ramaswamy
Uh huh.
and Roy Vant. And Vivek is still, I'm in touch with him from time to time, and he's now running for governor of Ohio because his wife is originally.
He's a character.
Oh, amazingly persuasive and very, I thought, very motivated, very goal-orientated person. And kudos to him. He's able to do these things. Um, I'm just beginning to learn how to be a minor facsimile, in my efforts at immunition, because I think immunition is going to be enormous. I mean, the science of immunology is developing so fast, along with all the biological sciences. But immunology is a space where you're dealing with the primary mechanism of maintaining life and maintaining health and maintaining health span as well as longevity itself. Longevity, some people say. So that it's an infernally complicated mechanism, and AI now is coming into this, where AI is beginning to sass out the modeling of the tremendous interactivity of this soup of reactive cells and molecules, um, which is tremendously elegant. It's miraculous. I mean, the immune system is a jaw-droppingly beautiful apparatus. And
It's
and entering it is and jostling it and mimicking it and is enthralling. I have to say, it's
you
enthralling.
see, it's really driven you.
I'm driven by that, and I'm also driven by the idea that immunition is going to be way longer than my own span, which I'm fighting terrifically to elongate.
Uh
Um,
huh. I
I'm
hope
a,
you do.
I'm a, I mean, no, I'm doing well. I mean, people who meet me think that I'm a pretty sprightly 80-year-old, um, and I do all the things that I have to say that read the literature. I'm a supplement taker in many regards, not horrendously so. I exercise. I think socialization is very important, and having good friends and laughter is very an important ingredient. So I love to laugh, and um, but most importantly, that you have mission in your life. And if you have mission in your life, you're forward seeking. You're not nostalgically seeking, basically. So as you're forwardly seeking, your natural juices are geared towards survival. You know,
Yep. Yeah, you're so primed and looking forward to the day.
absolutely. Yep.
When you get up in the morning, what's the first thing that's like the first thought that comes to your mind nowadays?
It changes over time. Right now, I must confess that I'm a little worried about the financial structure of our system. You know that, especially the influence that the stock market has on everything else is pretty profound. It's a major factor in the economics, and economists tend to leave it out. You know, in terms of looking at
Yeah, but they
whether
use all
they're
the measurements of it to gauge success.
some of them do, some of them do. You're right, but you know the whole market is standing on about 7 or 8 or 9, major stocks, that have done extraordinarily well in the last few years. As the AI boom is more fundamentally sustainable than, say, the biotech boom and the .com boom, because we had a biotech boom as well, several of them, two of them actually, where stocks became meme stocks and all that sort of thing, and they were way ahead of their fundamentals. But in the case of AI, these companies are really coining it. They're bringing in large amounts of funds, so that in a sense, they're economically much more sustainable in terms of a new phenomenon. However, the multiples that are applied to them have been extraordinary as well. So you get
There's a
huge
lot of hope put on
PEs.
AI.
Yeah, they have to perform to perfection to maintain these prices, I would imagine, and that what bothers me a little bit. And I don't want it to. I mean, on some days, I think, well, it's going to be okay, because as people exit these things, I'll turn attention to medicine more. Some of the droppings will come down on biopharma. Um, but on the other hand, I say, well, if it really crashes the economy, because so many pension funds and people's spending power are also tied to what they hold in the market. And also, I worry about crypto coinage becoming such a fad, and how its volatility will have an effect on the economy. So I worry a little bit about those things, because my grandchildren are important to me.
The you're on the board of Oregon AI. It seems like an AI company.
No. That is, yeah, I was recently. I've left. Um, yeah, that's one. But I mean, more and more of all of the companies that I'm involved with are absorbing AI into their work. Uh, whether it's at the scientific level or at the managerial level and the financial management level, the forecasting, marketing, planning, all of these things now, their AI is intrinsic. There are companies that are using AI in medicine. Well, of course, there are many, but in particular, the ones I'm referring to are the ones that are using AI to try and hasten the drug development, period, by being able to forecast better and model kind of biological systems and test drugs in silico, as they say now, rather than in vitro is in glass, in vivo is in bodies, in silico is on chips. So by testing drugs in theory has become more and more sophisticated, and then of course the AI is applied to the practice of medicine, so that. diagnosis and treatment planning and drug interactions and all those kinds of things that are tools for the medical profession are developing. And finally, there's AI in the economics of healthcare delivery.